Sadism and Masochism, from the Diaries of Otto Weininger. What man experiences are elements respectively lifted out of an infinite temporal, spatial, material, colourful, oral diversity. For this reason, there are primarily two things possible. He seeks reality as a whole, in the totality of the universe and its infinite connection. Or for him, reality is every discrete, so to speak, punctuated element of the universe. It is exactly the same world, quantitatively identical, equally infinite, but for the one, a part is always just a part, and only real insofar as it is created collectively with everything else. The other embraces the same world, but every discrete element exists for him as real in itself, and he seeks the part with the greatest reality of all. Applied to the religious, since both types can be pious. To the latter, the sun itself, or a historical figure itself, or the Madonna herself, can be the divine in and of itself. For the other, a discrete thing will always only become God so far as it is symbolic for the whole, and the more so, the more things hang together in it. Applied to the sexual, to the one, the individual woman is real. He is the sadist. The sadist is very attractive to women, because she is the greatest conceivable reality for him. To the masochist, on the other hand, the individual woman is never real. He always seeks for something other than the woman in her. This is why he is not attractive to women. The sadist lives discontinuously in individual moments of time. He never understands himself. For him, every moment has reality in itself. That is why he makes decisions easily, while the masochist can only always act on the basis of everything. The masochist is never in a position to ask himself, "How could I ever have done that? I don't understand myself." This is the sadist's usual attitude to his past, which still does not, for that reason, lose its punctuated reality for him in the slightest. The sadist has the finest capacity for perception and the best memory for every momentary particular. His senses are continually engaged because all particulars have a reality for him. The masochist suffers from long pauses, which he cannot fill with any reality. The masochist suffers from what is unreal to him, as from guilt. This is why he feels embarrassed in front of women. The sadist never. He is passive towards women, as towards every sensation, which he can only make real for himself through association, that in the end leads to concept formation. The sadist does not make associations. In the face of a sensation he is breathless, ready and willing to plunge himself into it completely, to be totally absorbed in the sensation. The masochist can, therefore, never love a picture or a statue. Here there is all too little reality, activity for him. The sadist can very well love them. He is also, of course, gallant, and gallantry is primarily the adornment of statues, from which one later removes the ornament, or which one smashes when there is no more reality to be sucked from them. The true concept of God is incomprehensible to the sadist. In art he is an oversensitive person, constantly focusing everything and unjustly on a man, on a moment, on a situation. He can tell stories, the masochist never, not even jokes, because no particular is real enough for him to be lovingly absorbed in it. To the masochist, the character of Napoleon is a starting point from which he distances himself in order to think, and to comprehend him through thought. For the sadist, all the world lies in such a figure. The masochist is thus helplessly weak in face of the sensory world. The sadist is strong in it. The masochist seeks to assert himself against appearance, against change. Only he understands the concept of the absolute, of God, of the idea of meaning. The sadist does not question things about their meaning. For him, Capre diem, the command of his eye, change appears real to him. What strikes him about time is not change, but rather duration, ere perennius. Rhythm, which attends precisely to every individual note, every individual syllable, is sadistic. Harmony is masochistic. As with true melodious vocal music, in which the individual notes do not emerge as such. The mystic, whether a theosophist like Boehme or a rationalist like Kant, is identical with the masochist. The amystical man is the sadist. The northerners are masochists, as well as the Jew. The southerners are sadists. Among Germans and Greeks are found both, but masochism predominates. Venetian epigrams, Hermann and Dorothea, are sadistic. Iphigenia, Tasso, Werther, Faust, for the most part the Gretchen episodes create a partial reception, are masochistic. The author of the Odyssey was a sadist, although Circe, of course, is the masochistic ideal, i.e. the ideal of the masochist who does not fight against his masochism but wants to retain his passivity in face of the individual thing. Orcelius, Richard Wagner, Dante, and above all Beethoven and Schumann are masochists. Verdi, likewise Mascagni and Bizet, is more the sadist, just as with all anacreontic poets, and the French of the 17th and 18th centuries, as well as Titian, Paolo Veronese, Rubens, and Raphael. Shakespeare has much of the sadist, but still more of the masochist. Towards women, however, without a sharp division of sexuality and love, as Goethe, Dante, Ibsen, and Richard Wagner have. The most complete masochism is in the first act of Tristan and Isolde, less so in Tannhäuser Rienzi, the Flying Dutchman. Geometry corresponds to harmony, arithmetic to rhythm, addition of units of time. This is a comment on the earlier remark. Criminals who commit great individual criminal actions are sadists. Criminals in the grand style, who actually commit no individual separate crime, are masochists. Napoleon was a masochist, not a sadist as perfunctorily believed. As proof, take his relationship to Josephine and his enthusiasm for Werther, his relationship to astronomy and to God. The individual women never possessed real existence for him. The sadist, moreover, can be a thoroughly decent and good person. The sex murder is perhaps a relief for the sadist when the reality of the individual woman becomes too great. Perhaps it does not have to be an act of revenge, as in Zolo at all. Englishmen are all masochists, and perhaps that is why their women are often so stunted in their womanhood. In the words of Napoleon to his soldiers, "The heart de ces pyramides quarante siècles vous complementon," lies something metaphysical, of which a true Frenchman and sadist would not be capable. The masochist is initially struck by similarity, the sadist by difference. Clocks and calendars are the greatest enigma for the masochist, even as a child, because time is always the main problem for him. The masochist can never lightly brush aside something that has happened earlier, which the sadist always does. But the new moment promises more reality than the old. The masochist takes everything as fate. The sadist loves to play with fate. For masochists, the idea of fate is especially contained in concrete pain. Pain has only as much reality for him as it has a share of this idea. So the sadist is the fate of the woman the fate of the masochist. Woman is sadistic, whoever is active in the sensation of woman. Mrs. is masochistic. The relationship of the sadist to the masochist is the relationship of the present to eternity. The present is the one thing over which a person has power. Whoever feels free in it will use it, like the sadist. Whoever feels that he suffers in it, because it is not real for him, seeks to awaken it to eternity. So also may the ethical striving of both be characterized One wants to transform all eternity into present, the other every present into eternity. The same holds for space. The sadist believes in and hopes for happiness on earth. He is the man of Tusculum, of Sansoki. The masochist needs a heaven. Remorse offends the sadist, and he holds it to be a weakness. Cabria diem! The masochist is penetrated by sublimity. Carlyle. The suicider is almost always a sadist, because he alone wants to get out of a situation and can act. The masochist must first question all eternity whether he should take his own life. The sadist seeks to help people against their will, their constant disposition, to momentary happiness or pain. He is grateful or revengeful. In gratefulness and revengefulness there is always a lack of compassion, thoughtlessness towards our timeless fellow man. Both are, like all immortality, boundary transgressions, i.e. functional connections with our fellow man. Mental modesty, i.e. continuity, which does not easily release a single mental content from the I, citing sex and character, is masochistic.